Oh, there we go. So let's talk about, so we've talked about,
We have
Different.
15 minutes professional.
okay, we'll get through this one in 5 minutes, y'all.
Okay.
So, the different types of workers and how do they show up? The beauty of 21st century is we can show up differently. Yeah. Than our grandparents, even some of our parents. We can show up different than they did. It's not fair. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not fair. You know, there's people right now working 2 full-time jobs without having to show up to an office. In other words, they're on 2 different companies, making 2 full-time salaries because they can work remote. Okay? That's not fair, like compared to last generation, that ain't cool, right? But that's the kind of opportunities we have today. Because we can show up. Some companies will allow you to show up. Sparky will allow any of our partners to show up. However they feel like showing up. For me, it's 100% remote. I show up when I need to show up. For someone else, they may like hybrid, you know, hey, I want to show up at this spot and then, you know, then I can work remote. For some, they just want the strictly traditional shifts. Because we're a 24-hour nation, right? We're global now. So it's no longer just that first shift of 9 to 5. Now you have the 4 to 12. Now you have the 12 to whatever it is.
6 a.m. or something.
12 to 6, right? So there's first shift, second shift, and third shift, but you still got to show up somewhere. Right? You still got to be in a brick and mortar, like Amazon, you know, they have that too, at their distribution center. So work from home is different than work at home. Work from home is you are employed. You are a full-time or part-time employee that is allowed to be on their payroll, but do your job, do their job they're asking you to do from your house. The work at home is a Uber or Lyft, right? Their base is at home, but they are self-employed or they're contracted, right? They're a contractor getting gigs from different boards. Sort of like Wendy, right? She has gigs with different boards. She has a gig with Spark U. She has a gig with as a Vista Corp. She has, you know, like, and she's an entrepreneur, right? She has her own business and products and services. So I love the flexibility of how you can show up. And I just wanted to present to y'all, don't limit yourself to just one. They're all available, yet, as you can see from this chart, some are almost impossible to be remote. Okay, so that's why this chart is going from, you know, high to low. It's the you know, business service and education stuff, you can be really remote in professional fields. But like cleaning and maintenance, okay, we don't have robots that can really get that corner like a human could just yet, okay? So you gotta show up for those kind of jobs. And the truth of the matter is those jobs pay less, guys. So how ironic, the jobs we're showing up for traditionally these days don't pay jack squat. So the ones that pay the most, you don't have to show up for. Gosh, it's so perfect.
You delegate your work.
I love it.
You tell people to do this, and while you sit there and just clock. You have the smarts and the power and the influence to be able to say, Nazir, you paint, this lady, you type, this lady, you speak, this lady, you, right? Because I'm like, oh, she's really good at that. But I learned that the more work I do, the less money that I make. And it just happened from, you know, being in your 20s and then your 30s. And then you work at Kaiser Permanente and you'd be like, oh, typing and shopping and listening to my music like all at the same time, right? So once you experience that, you would try to keep yourself in that way all the time. Once you've worked hybrid, it's gonna be hard to go back. I went back because it was like boring and I had swept the floor 20 times and it was sparkling clean. I was sliding. I'm like, yeah, maybe you should go to the office now. So then I can meet new people and eat new food and drive a new place. And I know all these really cool new people that are helping me.
For sure. Yeah, so, I thought we were gonna spend less time on this, but I do think it's important to see that, right? To see that scope of occupations.
And you can control that. I think
Yeah.
that's what we're saying. You can
Absolutely.
choose to control how you engage in life and in work and in your skills and your worth, right? And what expertise. You can go to work 9 to 5, but take a class. And then now you have a new job because you took those skills while you were doing. It's up to you. You'll learn as you go. And then partnering with like Spark You, he might have a program in 2 years to have mentors. Who are the first people you think we're gonna call? You guys. And then we'll say, and you get paid to do this, and you still get to sharpen your skills. Maybe you've never been a mentor, but you can learn how and get paid and do some social impact. Now you're the speaker at the university at the graduation, right? Because you've done so many times. So let things take you to different places.
And I guess that's the part of being entrepreneurial, right? It's not limiting yourself like someone who doesn't have that mindset, right? That's more of a fixed mindset. Well, no, like, I mean, I grew up and, sometimes our families are the ones that keep us fixed or limited because they only knew one way to do it. So they're expecting you to do it that way too. It's like, well, hey, this is how I came up. This is how I was.
Military families tend to be like that too.
It's like, why aren't you doing it that way? Because there's all these other ways I learned about. You only know one way, one lane. There's 10. Let me try the other lane and I'll let you know if that one, at least I know I can fall back on the traditional lane. But let me try these other lanes.